Have you ever taken a moment to reflect on your childhood and found yourself questioning why you faced certain challenges that most of your peers seem to glide past effortlessly? Perhaps you've grown into a capable, responsible adult, but those early struggles still linger in your mind, leaving you with unanswered questions. Why did I have to endure so much at such a young age? Why did I always feel so different, so out of place? Was all that hardship just random, or did it serve a greater purpose? Today, I want to invite you to see your past through a new lens, one that reveals how those early experiences were not mere coincidences. They were likely signs, subtle yet profound, that God was shaping you for a unique purpose long before you even understood what the word purpose meant. When we look back at our childhood, it's easy to focus on the moments that felt unfair or overwhelming. Maybe you were the kid who struggled in school while others seemed to excel without effort. Maybe you felt like the odd one out, the one who didn't quite fit in with the crowd. Perhaps you faced family challenges, financial hardships, or personal losses that left you feeling isolated and misunderstood. At the time, it might have seemed like the universe was stacking the odds against you. But what if those very struggles were part of a divine plan? What if they were the building blocks of your resilience, your empathy, and your unique perspective on life? Think about it. The challenges you faced as a child didn't just happen to you, they happened for you. They were opportunities for growth, even if you couldn't see it at the time. When you felt different, it wasn't because you were flawed or less than. It was because you were being prepared to stand out, to lead, to inspire, or to create something extraordinary. When you struggled, it wasn't because you were weak. It was because you were being strengthened for the battles and triumphs that lay ahead. Every tear, every moment of doubt, every hurdle you overcame was shaping you into the person you were meant to become. Consider the story of Joseph in the Bible. As a young boy, he was given dreams of greatness, but his path was far from easy. He was betrayed by his brothers, sold into slavery, falsely accused, and imprisoned. Yet, every twist and turn in his journey was part of God's plan to position him as a leader who would save countless lives during a time of famine. Joseph's struggles weren't random, they were purposeful. And the same can be true for you. The challenges you faced as a child may have felt overwhelming, but they were preparing you for a destiny you couldn't yet see. Perhaps you've always felt a sense of being set apart. Maybe you've wondered why you couldn't just blend in, why life couldn't be easier. But what if that feeling of being different was a sign that you were meant for something extraordinary? What if your struggles were the very things that equipped you to make a difference in the lives of others? The pain you endured may have given you a depth of compassion that allows you to connect with people in a way others can't. The obstacles you overcame may have given you a strength and determination that sets you apart in your field or community. The moments you felt alone may have taught you to rely on God in a way that now anchors your faith. It's natural to look back and wonder why your childhood wasn't easier, why you had to face so many challenges when others seemed to have it all together. But what if those challenges were gifts in disguise? What if they were the very things that shaped your character, your resilience, and your ability to navigate life's complexities? The truth is, God often uses our struggles to prepare us for our purpose. He doesn't waste a single experience, a single tear, or a single moment of pain. Every part of your story has meaning, even the parts that felt unfair or overwhelming. As you reflect on your childhood, try to see it through the lens of purpose. Those moments when you felt like you didn't belong, they were teaching you to embrace your uniqueness. Those times when you struggled to keep up, they were building your perseverance. Those seasons when you felt alone, they were drawing you closer to God. Every challenge, every hardship, every moment of doubt was part of a greater plan. A plan to shape you into the person you are today and the person you are still becoming. You may not have understood it at the time, but your childhood struggles were not random. They were signs that God was at work in your life, even when you couldn't see it. They were evidence that He had a purpose for you, a purpose that required preparation, refinement, and growth. And now, as you look back, you can begin to connect the dots. You can see how those early experiences shaped your character, your values, and your faith. You can see how they prepared you for the challenges and opportunities you face today. So, if you've ever wondered why your childhood was so different, why you faced so many challenges when others seemed to have it easier, take heart. Your struggles were not in vain. They were part of a divine plan, a plan to equip you for a purpose that only you can fulfill. You were not overlooked or forgotten. You were being prepared, shaped, and refined for something extraordinary. And as you continue to walk in that purpose, you'll begin to see how every part of your story, even the hardest parts, was leading you to this moment. The next time you find yourself reflecting on your childhood, don't just see the struggles. See the signs. See the hand of God at work, shaping you, guiding you, and preparing you for the incredible purpose He has for your life. You are not a product of random chance. You are a masterpiece in the making, and every part of your story, every challenge, every triumph, every moment of growth, has been leading you to where you are today. Embrace your journey, trust in God's plan, and know that your purpose is greater than you can imagine. The Bible says in Jeremiah, "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you before you were born. I set you apart." That means God had a plan for your life before you even opened your eyes for the first time. The challenges, gifts, and sensitivities you carried as a child weren't accidents, they were clues. God was already training you, preparing you, and steering you toward a greater calling. As we go through these signs, I'd encourage you to participate. If something we talk about resonates with your own childhood experiences, take a moment, head down to the comments, and write a short Bible verse or a brief affirmation. Something like "God chose me," or "The Lord is my guide." Your words might just help someone else recognize their own story in a new light. You faced more obstacles in early life than other people. Let's start with this. Were you that kid who always seemed to have it harder than everyone else? Maybe you grew up in a family situation that was far from peaceful. Maybe money was always tight, arguments were constant, and you had responsibilities that number 8 or 9-year-old should ever have to carry. While other kids were focused on what brand of sneakers to wear, you might have been focused on how to make a limited amount of groceries last until the end of the week. While some children breeze through school without a care in the world, you might have struggled with learning difficulties, language barriers, or constantly changing schools. It's almost like life handed you a heavier load from day one. If that's you, understand this. The Lord knew you could handle more than you thought you could. Romans 5 verse 3-4 says that suffering produces perseverance, and perseverance produces character. God doesn't waste pain. If you faced obstacles early on, He was building resilience in you. He knew that as you grew older, you would need that inner toughness to keep going when everyone else gave up. It's like early training at a spiritual boot camp. By overcoming difficulties so young, you learned how to solve problems, adapt quickly, and lean on strength bigger than your own. You didn't know it at the time, but you were developing into someone God can trust with important work later in life. Take a moment now if you can relate to this sign. Jump down into the comments and write a short verse or affirmation. Maybe something like "I can do all things through Christ, who strengthens me." Philippians 4 verse 13. By doing this, you acknowledge that your early struggles were forging qualities that God will use in mighty ways. Sign 2. You had prophetic or meaningful dreams in early childhood. Think back for a second. Did you ever have dreams as a kid that felt oddly real, maybe even like they carried a message? Not just random nightmares, but dreams that stuck with you, made you think deeply, or even predicted things that happened later. Maybe as a child, you woke up puzzled, wondering why you felt like God was talking to you when nobody else mentioned such things. Or you might have told a parent or sibling about your dream and received a shrug or a laugh. So you learned to keep it to yourself. Perhaps as you grew older, you decided these dreams were too strange or scary, so you shut them down. You tried to turn that part of your heart off to survive mentally because you didn't know what to do with it. Don't dismiss those early dream experiences so quickly. In the Bible, God often communicates through dreams. Think of Joseph in Genesis, who had dreams as a young man that made no sense at first but later proved crucial to saving lives. If you had these out of the ordinary dreams, it could be that God gifted you with a spiritual sensitivity early on. Maybe you pushed it down because it was overwhelming, but God might still want to use that ability in your adult life. Maybe He wants you to pay attention to subtle spiritual signals, to sense warning signs before others do, or to understand truths hidden beneath the surface. If your childhood dreams are clicking into place now, drop another affirmation or verse in the comments. Something like, "Speak, Lord, your servant is listening." By doing this, you're acknowledging that you're open to God's guidance, even if it comes in unexpected forms. Animals and children with problems were attracted to you. Did you ever notice that hurting creatures seemed drawn to you? Maybe you were that child who could calm a nervous stray dog that everyone else feared. Perhaps troubled kids at school gravitated toward you even if you were quiet or younger. Children who were anxious or insecure seemed to relax when you were around. It's not that you had all the answers, you were just a kid yourself. But somehow they sensed something comforting and stable in you. This isn't just a coincidence. Often God's chosen people carry a sort of spiritual warmth that those in need can feel, even if no one can explain it. Jesus said in Matthew 5 verse 16 that we should let our light shine. If people and animals in distress felt safer with you, that might have been your light shining early on. It's a sign that God planted in you a heart of compassion and the ability to bring peace into chaotic situations. This is the kind of quality the world desperately needs, someone who can stabilize a stormy environment with just their presence. If this resonates with you, take a moment to comment something like, "Lord, make me a channel of your peace." By doing so, you're embracing that nurturing, calming gift God placed inside you. Sign 4. You were highly sensitive to truth and hurt by dishonesty. How did you react as a child when you saw someone lying? Not necessarily lying to you, but maybe lying to someone else? Your parent lying to a neighbor about a small thing? Your friend's dad breaking a promise he made? Or your classmate telling stories that weren't true? Did it bother you more than it bothered other kids? Did it feel like a punch in the gut to witness any kind of dishonesty, even if everyone else shrugged it off as no big deal? If that's the case, you might have been carrying God's standard of truth deep in your soul from a young age. The Bible says in Psalm 51, verse 6, "Surely you desire truth in the inner parts." God cares about honesty, integrity, and sincerity. If you were extra sensitive to lies and it hurt you to see people fake their way through life, that could be a sign that God wired you to uphold truth. You were never meant to settle for a world where truth is optional. This sign suggests God wants to use you to uphold integrity, to be the kind of person who can't just look away from corruption and falsehood. If you identify with this sign, maybe write "Lead me in your truth," Psalm 25, verse 5 in the comments. By doing this, you're reaffirming your commitment to living and promoting truth as God intended. Sign 5. People trusted you. You got things done and everything you touched got better. Here's a crucial sign, and probably the most important one. Were you known even as a kid, as someone who could get it done? Maybe your family members relied on you to fix small problems at home. Maybe friends turned to you when they needed someone dependable, not just for advice but for real help. Even teachers might have given you responsibilities beyond your years because they knew you wouldn't drop the ball. You might have thought this was just your personality, but think again. When God chooses someone for a special task, He often trains them in responsibility and reliability. Early Luke 16 verse 10 reminds us that if we are faithful in the small things, we will be faithful in much bigger things. Those childhood chores, conflicts you resolved, and problems you tackled were all training exercises. God was building your capacity to bring order where there's chaos, to lead where others hesitate, and to improve whatever you touch. He needs people who won't quit at the first obstacle, who don't run away when it's hard, and who know how to bring solutions instead of complaints. If you see your life in this sign, leave a comment like, "Here I am, Lord, send me Isaiah 68. You're telling God you understand why He gave you that get-it-done spirit and that you're ready to use it for His greater purpose. Now let's take a step back and look at these signs. Collectively, you faced more obstacles than most kids. This built your resilience, preparing you for challenges down the road. You had prophetic or meaningful dreams. God gave you a unique channel for insight, even if you didn't understand it at the time. Animals and troubled children felt safe around you. Your presence brought comfort, showing you have a calming, nurturing spirit. You were sensitive to lies and deception. You carried a yearning for truth and integrity, something deeply aligned with God's heart. You were the one everyone counted on. God molded you into a problem solver, a doer, someone He can trust with bigger tasks later. These are not random traits. They are interconnected hints that God planted inside you. He was shaping your character, your perspective, and your heart from your earliest years so that one day He could call on you to fulfill a special purpose. You were never ordinary. God was writing a story with your life, and He started outlining the main themes when you were just a kid. Maybe you're asking, why did God shape me this way? Couldn't He have just given me a normal childhood? Well, think about how soldiers, athletes, or leaders are trained. They don't just wake up one day ready for the big leagues. They go through countless hours of practice, challenges, setbacks, and learning experiences. God does something similar. He often starts preparing His chosen ones early. Your tough childhood, strange dreams, and heightened sense of right and wrong weren't meant to break you. They were there to shape you into a person who could stand strong in a world that desperately needs strong, loving, and truth-honoring individuals. You might be thinking, all right, I see it now. These were signs. God was shaping me. But what do I do with this information? Good question. The first step is simple. Acknowledge and thank God. Sometimes we need to look back and realize we were never alone, never abandoned, never just drifting. God was involved, carefully guiding and developing you. You can pray something like, "Lord, I see it now. I see your hand in my childhood. Thank you for shaping me even when I didn't understand what you were doing next." Ask God to show you how to use these qualities for His glory today. If He made you resilient, consider where you can bring strength and hope in your community. If He gave you insight through dreams, ask Him how He wants you to use that gift, maybe through prayer, encouragement, or counseling. If people feel comforted by your presence, find ways to serve those in need, whether it's volunteering with children's ministries, helping the homeless, or simply being that listening ear at work or in your family. If you can't stand lies, stand up for honesty and justice in a respectful yet firm way. If you're the person who gets things done, step into leadership roles that help others grow, heal, or find solutions. God doesn't just shape you so you can sit on these gifts. He shapes you because there's a world out there needing the person you've become. Ephesians says, "We are created in Christ Jesus to do good works, which God prepared in advance for us to do." That means your life isn't a random journey, it's a mission. Those early signs were basically God's way of saying, "I have plans for you and I'm starting now." Let's be real. Some of you are hearing this, but you still feel anger or sadness over what you endured as a child. It's perfectly normal. Being chosen and shaped doesn't mean you enjoyed every moment of the process. Maybe you faced abuse, neglect, or constant disappointment. Acknowledging God's plan doesn't mean you pretend it was all fun and games. It means recognizing that God can redeem the pain and turn it into something meaningful. If you still carry scars, consider seeking healing. Seeking God's help is one of the most powerful steps you can take when carrying the weight of past struggles. Prayer opens the door to divine guidance, comfort, and strength, reminding you that you are never alone in your journey. But God often works through people too. That's why it's so important to reach out to someone you trust, a pastor, a counselor, or a mature friend who can walk alongside you as you unpack the baggage of your past. Healing doesn't mean erasing what happened. It means finding the courage to confront those experiences, process them, and ultimately move forward without letting those wounds define you. One day, you may even discover that your past pain becomes a source of strength, empathy, and purpose, enabling you to help others who are walking a similar path. When life feels heavy, prayer is where we begin. It's where we lay our burdens down and invite God into the broken places of our hearts. Prayer isn't about having the right words or saying something profound. It's about being honest with God. It's about pouring out your fears, your doubts, your regrets, and your pain, knowing that He hears you and cares deeply for you. In those moments of prayer, you'll find a peace that surpasses understanding, a peace that reminds you that no matter how difficult your past may have been, God is with you in the present and has a plan for your future. But prayer is just the beginning. God often uses people to bring healing and clarity into our lives. That's why it's so important to seek out someone who can help you navigate the complexities of your past. A trusted pastor can offer spiritual guidance and remind you of God's promises. A counselor can provide tools and strategies to help you process your emotions and break free from negative patterns. A mature friend can offer a listening ear, a shoulder to lean on, and the encouragement you need to keep moving forward. Whatever form it takes, reaching out for help is not a sign of weakness. It's a step of courage and faith. Healing is a journey, and it's not always easy. It requires facing the pain you've carried for so long, and that can feel overwhelming. But healing doesn't mean pretending the past didn't happen. It doesn't mean erasing the memories or denying the impact they've had on your life. Instead, healing is about acknowledging those experiences, understanding how they've shaped you, and choosing to no longer let them control your present or dictate your future. It's about reclaiming your story and finding freedom in the truth that your past does not define you. As you walk this journey of healing, you'll begin to see how God can use even the hardest parts of your story for good. The pain you've endured can become a source of empathy, allowing you to connect with others who are hurting in ways that few people can. The struggles you've overcome can become a testament to God's faithfulness, inspiring others to trust Him in their own challenges. The lessons you've learned can become a guide for those who are still finding their way. In this way, your past pain can become a powerful tool for helping others, a reminder that no matter how broken we may feel, God can bring beauty from the ashes. One day, you may look back and see how far you've come. You'll see how God has been with you every step of the way, even in the moments when you felt alone. You'll see how He has used your struggles to shape you into the person you are today, someone who is stronger, wiser, and more compassionate because of what you've been through. And you'll see how your story, with all its ups and downs, is a testament to His grace and love. So, if you're carrying the weight of past pain, don't carry it alone. Pray for God's help, and then take the brave step of reaching out to someone who can walk alongside you. Healing is possible, and it starts with a single step of faith. As you move forward, remember that your past does not define you. You are defined by the love of God, the purpose He has for your life, and the incredible person He is shaping you to be. And one day, you'll see how your pain has prepared you to make a difference in ways you never imagined. Your past may have shaped you, but it doesn't have to shackle you. With God's help and the support of those who care for you, you can find healing, hope, and a future filled with purpose. One day, you'll look back and realize that every tear, every struggle, and every moment of pain was part of a greater story. A story of redemption, resilience, and the unshakable love of a God who never let you go.